Hey, my name is Crystal, and this is Entrusted Creative Coaching. I wanted to welcome you and give you a little information so you know what to expect. Entrusted comes from chapter 25 in the book of Matthew, and it's the parable where Jesus is talking to his disciples about the kingdom of God and what to expect there. He says the kingdom of God is like this. There's this master, and he leaves with his servants talents or bags of gold. And he says, I want you to take it and multiply it. So the first servant goes out. He takes the talents that are left to him and he invests it and he multiplies it. And when the master comes back, he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little. I will entrust you with much. But then there's another servant who takes the small amount that was entrusted to him and he buries it because he's scared. And when the master comes back, the master says, you could have at least invested it where you would have gotten interest on that talent, but you did nothing. Don't you know that I even reap where I haven't planted? That's pretty amazing, right? But God calls him wicked. We don't want to be called wicked. We want to be called, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what we want. So you're here because God has entrusted something to you. Maybe that's a gift. Maybe that's a talent. Maybe that's an idea. And so you probably have a book or an album or a ministry or a company or an event that God is calling you to do. Or maybe you're teaching and doing a conference. There's so many things that God can ask us to do, but it's so important that we are faithful to complete and multiply what God has entrusted to us. And so, welcome to my program, Entrusted Creative Coaching. We meet every Monday night and we have coaching sessions where I help you and walk through your project through the system that I set up to help you get from the start all the way to the finish. And that's so important. The joy that you have knowing that you've completed something that God has entrusted to you is so intense. It's so fulfilling. And the amazing thing is that when you complete one task that God gives to you, guess what? He entrusts you with more. Isn't that amazing? It's so beautiful. It's so good to be obedient to God, to trust God, and to be like the first servant who's willing to take what he's given us and multiply it, instead of being like the second servant who is scared and doesn't do anything. Let that not be said of us. So I just want to welcome you and say, please come join us. Join us so that you can complete and multiply that which God has entrusted to you. The sign-up information is below.